We're on page Kuf Nun Aleph. And it says like this, V'hai Karen the Yovelahu. So we said this is the Karen, which we said refers to the Malchus of Atzilus. It's the Karen of the Yovel. That's what we said last time. Zecham Malchus Anikras Karen the Yovel. So he says the reason is because it comes out from the womb of Ima. It's connected. Choseres ba'alef tishi. So now we're talking about the 7th millennia. It returns back into the 7th millennia, the Ima Rabbi Shorsha, to Ima, which is its root. So V'yovel Hashem. Then it has this word V'yovel Hashem. So the Yovel, which is Lashon Bina, Kamosha HaMamalchus Hi Besod Os Hey, as she is the secret of the Os Hey Achrona Shel Shem Avaya. So I really read that wrong. It's V'yovel Hey. That's the way you're supposed to read it. Okay, so he says, V'gamosha HaMalchus Hi Besod Os Hey Achrona Shel Shem Avaya. Kach Ima HaNikras Yovel Hi Besod Es Hey Rishona Shel Shem Havaya. So he says, V'os Hey Achrona de Malchus Nishrashas B'os Hey Rishona Shel Bina. So it's rooted there. That's its origin. Now we come over to this idea about the 7th millennium. Yeah, I forgot to mention, I didn't read up at top. We're all talking about the 7th millennium now. So he says, after the 6,000 years, the Bina, that they're going to come together. But Hoseris Hey Achrona de Malchus V'nechlelas B'Shorsha B'Os Hey Rishona Shel Bina. Umavara Odin explains further. Shebe'elef HaShvihi Yachsov Kol HaTachtonim, that at this time, all of the lower worlds, L'Shorsha Me'elyon Be'ima, they'll go back into Kedusha, I guess, into Ima. The Fishima He Shorish Kol HaDevorim, because that's where everything comes from, and it will go back into that state. So you would have, sounds like you would have the Vav and the K moving up to the first K. V'hei Nishi V'chaderuch Dekula. Shahare Os Hey, this is what he says, Shal Ima, Men Nesheves Ruach Chaim V'kol HaTachtonim, it blows a Ruach of Chaim into all of the lower worlds, V'ha'inyan Hu, and the Inyan is like this. Now it's interesting that he says that Ima is breathing a Ruach Dekula, because Ima normally is Lashon Neshama. But he says here that it's Ruach Dekula, Shahare Os Hey Shal Ima Men Nesheves, she's where the breath comes from, the Ruach Chaim V'kol HaTachtonim. V'inyan hu she'ima mekabela b'chinas Chaim ba'Abba, because Ayim is Chaim, Abba is Lashon Chaim, and also Chia, like that. But so the Chochmah Techaya is Ba'alechu, so the Chochmah really brings life to those who have it, possess it. Over Chaim Ha'elu, so this Chaim, which is coming from Abba into Ima, Min Nesheves, then she breathes Ima Ruach Chaim L'Kol HaTachtonim. Then he says this word tithing, right? So Yachzro, he says, that's Lashon Yashuv, I guess. Everything will go back to its origin, in their root there. Ki Abba, because Abba, Yistalek melahashpia Chaim le'ima, he's going to stop, he's going to cut off that Chaim that he's pushing, that he's flowing into Ima. Tapsik melanashev, he's a Ruach Chaim, he's going to stop breathing that Ruach Chaim, the Tachtonim, umamela yachsu kulin l'shorshim v'shecha b'shom nechsavu. So then they're all going to go back to Bina, where they were carved out. A carving is always an interesting idea, so it's like they're like a chelik, or I'm not sure exactly what that means. So that's what they're talking about in the destruction of the 7th year. Now here we're talking about Churban. Before I was talking about Aliyah. So now we use the word Churban, Elef Hashvihim Milas Aha, and we see here that you're now working with this word Aleph K and another K. The way it's vocalized and so on and so forth. Okay, so anyway, that's what it is. Then after this, so he says, first of all, it needs explanation. First of all, he says the world is left in a state which is Aleph KK, like that, but it's also Menukad like that. So he says, and then after that, Hashem is going to start everything all over again, in the concept of Hashem Elokem, which is a concept, I think, of balance. A Mavur Vukadi is Chaze Hey Lehe, Sheba Elav Hashvi Gasher Oz Hey Shal Malchus Hozeres El Oz Hey Shal Ima, Oz Ne'emer Milas Akia, Haromezes Al Hozeres Hadavarm L'Shorshim, Let me read this again. Then we'll say on the milas, that word ekia, which means I will be, or I'm coming, or something like that. Haromezes al chazaras adavarim. This is really a name is about everything is going to come back to its shorsh, l'shorsho v'hachurban, and also the destruction of everything's down here. But then Hashem is going to be mischadish the world. Then you have these two names will be, he says, and then it is a quote, I don't know, Ne'amro, they are stated in two words. I got two words. What does he mean? The nature of this new word will be characterized by these two words, Iskri Shem Mole. And that is also called, I think we've seen this already, that it's called the full name. Hanikroim Yachad Shem Mole. So that after the world is renewed, it'll come back to this concept of the complete name. Because then you're going to be in a situation of Olam Haba. At least I lost the place. I lost the place because I started playing around with this. Molek, Olam Molek. So I said that wrong. So he said, or let's say, anyway. Chazal, Shemazkirim Shem Mole al Olam Mole. So the name Mole, Shem Mole al Olam Mole. Now what does that mean? The Chesiv, V'oz Ne'amar V'nisgav Hashem Levado B'yom Haku, that Hashem will be elevated by himself, singularly on that day. Now, it's a lot of mystery in here. Now we're going to try to help you out a little bit, says these rabbis. He said, and it says that in the 7th millennia, so when the K goes to the K, so that when we see the K that's in Malchus, it's going to go back. So this is, the Sulam talks about this a lot, the Eliza Malchus the Bina. But I was not able to understand it at that time. And so here it is over here. So the Histalic Yud, so what happens is that when this happens, the Yud leaves. Oz Histalika Oz Yud Shel Ekya. So now you're going to be left with the other two letters. Shehu Sod Shefa HaChaim Shal Abba, which is the secret. The Yud itself always represents Abba. And so therefore you have it like that. Va'inyan hu, and the Inyan is like this. She'imi hi besod shem Akya, that Ima we say is the name of Akya. Va'os yud shebein the base hey, and that is yud in between those two shall Akya. Romeses the bechinas achachma shall Abba, is the Abba that's inside between these two hayin. It's a remiss to that. Hamachaya, it's a call that brings life into everything. Because of the Ruach Chaim that is now breathing into Ima, the Malchus, and ultimately goes to Aleph. Then it says to Malchus rather. Over Elef Hashvichin Yistalek HaRuach HaChaim, but in the 7th millennia, the Ruach Chaim leaves. But the Chaim Puranusa also the Alma. So this is a heavy statement. So then the world, he says, is not. I'm thinking the world's going to be beautiful, like your Malchus going to Bina, like that. Here he says that Paranosa also la'alma. Yavu Paranos v'churban la'olam, the world will be punished and destroyed. V'kol hadavarim yachso the shorshim, and everything will go back to where they came from. Ha'elyon, which is in the spiritual world, the non-physical worlds, ashecha b'menu chutzvah, that where they were carved out from there. Ahaido be'ima canal. That's the language of the Mina canal. V'amar Odin says further, and if it wasn't that you had these two names together now, lo yiskayim alma, and and that's going to take place after the seventh millennia. Though Yaksa Ha'olam Hiskayim, the world will not come back into existence again. V'kula is harbo, and everything would be destroyed. Everything will remain in a destroyed state, shall Elav Ashvi, which is the 7,000th year. Now this is really, to me, is mind-blowing. Let's say that I lived into the 7th millennium. So he's telling me that everything will be going back to being again, which is a purely spiritual state. And he said, but he characterizes that there sounds like he's saying, Ella hakol yishara bebechinas korban. What's the whole kol he's talking about? He's talking about this planet, this world, this olam asiyah will be a totally state of destruction, shal el shashvi. So if there are no people, this is an argument that I make, is that if there are no people, there would be no time. The only reason why we think about years is because we only live so long, so we're constantly counting. That's my perspective on it. Over here, there's no people left because the physicality is gone, and you're in the El Shavi. How do you know that it's 1,000 years? But that's what it says. In this it reads like because Hashem is called Ma'asav Kiritzona. Then Hashem now is going to reshape the nature of the world. This comes after the destruction of the 7th millennium. So it takes 1,000 years to completely clean up this. Now, whatever that, once again, the word years is by our way of thinking about what years means. But in Olam Bina, 1,000 years, what is that exactly? That's when Hashem will be elevated and he will be the one and only, the singular. So then he said, Ad Kan, so he says, until now, Ad Kan Heim Divrei Sifra D'tzniuta. So this is the way the Rebbe Shimon is writing. Sasa v'his ata tzniuta de malka. Asher bechem, because in these words, Sasa m'mu'uter, so those two words together, he says they are closed and crowned at Tznius HaMelech HaElyon, with the Tznius HaMelech HaElyon, as we know that the higher you go, the more vague everything becomes. So it's all mutzne, and that's the cover of the Melech HaElyon. V'ha'inyan husha b'divrei ha'sefer hazeh stumim u'mutznaim sodos malchus shal oilim, because here is where you see are hidden in here the secrets of the malchus shal oilim, b'ramazim nechomolom, with different kinds of hints that are very hidden. V'gnizas v'stimas hasodos heim atar of the malchus shal oilim. They are actually that closing up, that hiding away of these secrets is actually the crown of the king of the universe. V'amar the hainach of Sifra D'tzniuta, and it says further that this Sifra D'tzniuta, shezehu gam keim etam, this is the reason why also lama nikra sefer zecha b'shem Sifra D'tzniuta. So why is it called that? The hainach al shem hasodos, because of the sodos hamutznoim that are hidden b'sefer hazeh. The Messiah b'shvach Sifra D'tzniuta. So Rebbe Shimon finishes with this. V'amar zakol l'man da'o. Happy is the person, worthy is the person who enters in. Ashrei v'meisha niknas b'limet sodas haSifra D'tzniuta. Happy for us. V'yada shavi l'koi v'archoi. He knows its paths. He knows his different paths. V'zachal l'das v'lachasik as shavi v'darkei sefer. So then, after that, the person merits to know, to reach the different paths that we find in the roads of the sefer. Sefer Hazerabu Amok Amok Miyim Se'enu, who's completely, so totally and completely deep. Who's going to be able to find that? So that all of the Chochmah of Kabbalah is contained in this. The fish should call Maimer Reminder Shal the Sifra D'tzniuta, because every different vort over here, Sovel, Kolel, he says, includes Kama Pirush, many different ways of looking at it. V'nechlalabo Kama Inyanim. Because the Pirushim near Mazimbo, Heim Emes, and all of the Pirushim, they're right. The Sifra D'tzniuta, hu bebechinas moed. It's the concept of a little bit. Hamachzik as a maruba. This is a tremendous vort here, I think. How something very tiny, which is the whole concept of creation, can hold something in very big. So it's all abbreviated. With beautiful chokhmah. Okay, so that was the end of the little chiddush there, a little different ideas on what's going on in the Elef Hashvi. To me, it's a little bit. I got in a conversation once with a guy who knows a little bit about time, and he was trying to tell me that they've measured that actually it takes longer to drop from a certain mountain in Colorado, the same distance or something like that, in another place. So there's differences in actual amounts of time, something like that. So I said, hey, well, the time, look to me that time is all really an illusion. So that's what I'm thinking, and we're fixed in the idea of 6,000 years and Mashiach is going to come and this is going to happen. And here he comes over here and he tells us everything's going to go back the way it used to be, go back to its root, which is in nothingness, which is in only spirituality. Anyway, let's go over here on page Kuf Samach Gimel. We have a few minutes. We'll start off the pirush of the Sifra D'tzniuta, this part of it, with the Gra. Tikuni dikna dezer anpen. Tisha tikuni dikna dezer anpen. Nisak nucha betesha tikunim. So the beard of zer anpen is put into 9 tikunim. Yekirim v'zecha hadikna dezer anpen nikra yakar. It's called glorious. Kihul levush shel Erik anpen, because it's the clothing on Erik anpen. Became gam tesha tikuni dikna dezer anpen nikraim yakarim. So since you have that word, glorified or honored, in regards to Erich, though you have the same thing in Zav. Is Mesarach the Dikna, V'oras Elo Hatisha Hadikunim Nimsarach Bedikna to Erik Anpen. They're given over to this of the Dikna of giving over to Erik Anpen, from Erik Anpen, the Dikna to Zer Anpen. Amnon lo nimsarach the Zer Anpen called a Shlosha Asa Tikuni Dikna, but he doesn't get all of the 13 that are part of the Dikna of Erik Anpen. Ella Tisha Tikunim Bavad, only 9 Tikunim. Vamba Shavacha Dikna, so in praise of the beard of Zer Anpen, call Ma the Istamar of Gavulo is Galia, everything which is hidden and not revealed. Kimasha Shan'ala and Ba'anim is Gali Ilola V'Yakira Ishtakach, it's found in a greater level of honor. Nimsashuhu Elyon V'Yakar, more precious of the Chaim Hun the Elam and Bachusa, so therefore it's hidden, covered over. V'Hu Genezi Yakira, so this is really a treasure house of treasures. V'Chaim Kuha Digna L'Zer Anpen, Shuhu Ganas and Bachusa, the Roh Yikrasuh U'Malal Yakarasa U'Malasa. So he's hidden away also. The real great glory of him is really only relative to the fact that he's hidden. Shahare Einu Nizkar B'Pasuk Kla, because the truth is not mentioned in the Pasuk at all. Now let me see if I missed this. Let's talk about Zer Anpen. Kla. V'afal Gav Shehisker Shlomo HaMelech B'Shir Shlomo HaMelech spoke about Zer Anpen. B'Hashirim. Shar Tikunim Eivari, parts of Zer Anpen, and he goes through all the different, so the rest of the Tikunim, of the limbs of the different parts of Zer Anpen, could go in Roshu Kesem Paz of Geduma, because those lo Hisker B'Shir Hashirim as a Tikuni Dikna de Zer Anpen, but it doesn't mention his beard at all. Behind the Katam Nizkar, and that's the reason why the beard is so precious. They call Mashu Elyon V'Yakar, that which is most high and most honored, Hu Ne'elam and Bechusa, that's the part that's covered up. He said, Saros Tikkun Arishon. So now we're going to the first Tikkun. He's going to go through the Tikkunim as we did the first time. So he says, Arishon, the Dikna de Zer Anpen, Heim Nimim al Nimim, they're bundles of hairs on top of bundles. Nimshachem v'yotze below seder yafa, so they're not organized, they're chaotic. Ela ba'ofen shal nimen al nimen, he means the saros al gabi saros, hairs on top of hairs. Mikmei piska de udnim, and that's in front, that's where it starts at the opening of the ear. And so Pesach Hanayim, the door open, the opening the door of into the ear. The Hainu Makom Makabim Keneged Nekev Shalaznayim. So corresponding to the opening of the ear, that's where this tikkun starts. Ad Reisha the Puma, and it goes down until it gets to the top of the mouth. Umisham Nimshach and Besaras V'Yordim, the hairs go down. Ad Haschalas Peh, where the mouth is there anpin begins. Saras Tikkun Hasheni, so the hairs on the second Tikkun D'tzniuta is there anpin. Nimshach and Bereisha high, they extend from this Reisha. Merosha Hasafach Al Yonah Shebetzad Yamin, the Chavetzomchim Yamin is small, and they're going to grow on the right and on the left. Small. Now, when the hairs reach to the left side, so it goes from the right to the left. Then they go down from that area and they go right to the lower lip. And small, and they're now on the left side. They go down the left side and they start growing that word towards the right. But something is small, the yamim, and they grow left to right. So now you have a right to left and a left to right. The Reisha Achra, Ad Shachas Magiyam, the Rosh Safa Tachtoina, until they actually reach the beginning of the lower lip, Shebetzad Yamin, which is on the other side. So just describing, goes all the way over to the other side. So Ishtakach Ba'ofen Shas'aros Tikkun Hasheni Nimsa B'Kol Svalsayim. So it's really, according to the Gra, that the second Tikkun goes all the way over the first, right to left on the top lip, left to right on the lower lip, and that's the second Tikkun Ki Hein Hashefach Ad Yonah V'Chein, excuse me, Hasafach Ad Yonah V'Chein Hasafach Tachtaina. So they're the upper and lower lips. Hein Meleim Sa'aros, they're all full of hair. Shall Tikkun Hasheni. Then we come over here and it says Makom Tikkun Hashlishi. Let's go to the third one. The digna the zer anpen mitchos trin nukvin is right underneath his nostrils. Who mitachosh shnei nukve, and he doesn't use the word nostril. He really says the openings of his nose, the doors of his, the holes of his nose. Shall zer anpen archamalia. It's the path there. Sheyotze sham orach derech. He says shuhu malis aros. So there's a path there that's full of hairs. Katana and Bakashim, they're hard and they're little. Of the Nimshak ad Makom Apeh, and they keep going down until they reach the lip. The lo ishazia. But you can't see any path, noise of any extra path lamata, tachas asvasayim, underneath the lips. The zer anpin. Vein daima the digna the erik anpin sheyesh the whole orach noise be'em sachas aras savatachtain, and it's not like you had an erik anpin where there really was an opening and the path was visible. So this all area stands opposite the upper path. Shel Saf Al Yana. Ki bedikta the zer anpin enu nimsa the malta klal. Af roshan shall orach, down below in zer anpin. You can't see anything. Just a little bit more. Let's see what else we could say. Is tikkun the review the dikta the zer anpin. So the fourth tikkun now alin is chapyan. Who slows? So what is slows? He says the word slows means stade halachayim. So it's on the sides of the cheeks. So he says what amachusim besaros, which are covered over in hairs. Mehai gisa from one side to the next. Abein b'tzad yamin upon him. Abein b'tzad small. This is all referring to the fourth tikkun. I could do this one more. The fifth tikkun agamisha the dikta the zer anpen ku makom upon him she'ein bechem sa'aros. It's the cheek without the hairs. B'hu is chazin tepuchim sumalkin kavardo. So there's where you see the red cheeks. They are red like a rose. Asher bechem niran mizgalim shnei tepuchim bedumin kishoshana. So they look like a red rose. Ki gavan upon him, because the color of the face, because that's the only place that this is seen. Okay, that's the shir today. Thank you so much.